Hello everyone. Today we're going to be discussing about uh, the expenses module. So let's head straight to the module itself. So on the sidebar, we will click on the expenses, and then it will load the expenses section or module. Over here, we can it will see statistical statistics about the current expenses that have been created. So over here, there are six so far, where 17% have not been built, 0% built, and then 83% internal. So expenses can either be internal or billed to the clients. Over here is the categories where the expense categories are grouped under, where the expenses are grouped. So over here, this is just an example. Maybe you can have internet, maybe court expenses, maybe transport, office, salary. You can delete these particular categories if you want to. To create them, just click on a plus, this plus icon over there, and then let's create a one. Maybe let's say it is maybe, let's give an example of maybe fuel expense, or let's choose the one that we deleted, internet expense. So that's how you add an expense category, and it will be added. So on the expenses section, over here is the expense itself, the date it was created, the category it is falling under, the status, whether it is internal or billed, and then let's look at the 10, the 6 so far, so 1 to 6 of 6, and then the amount. Over here you can search, maybe you're searching for travel expense, you'll just click like that. Maybe you can search for using a particular name of the expense. So you can search for expenses over here. So you can search from using if you can even search using the code for the invoice exp, maybe exp3, like that. Now let's create an expense. All you have to do is click on the plus sign. Now let's say maybe it is a travel expense. Let's say it is in the category of transport. So if we are going to bill it to a client, if we are going to charge that client for this, you can choose a client. Let's say maybe you're going to see Eustace, who lives in Mombasa, and so just can add something here. Then you choose the account that is going to be the amount is going to be deposited or being cut from. In our case, it's going to be cut from that section, and then you can choose the date. It's 19th. You can choose the service. Maybe let's say travel. Maybe let's say you're going to fly to Mombasa, to and fro. Maybe it's going to cost you that amount with the tax of maybe 5%, and it will be calculated automatically. The tax and the subtotal, and then the grand total will be calculated automatically. If there's another expense, again you can add. Maybe let's say where you're going to stay in the hotel, where you'll be staying maybe for 13,000 a night, with maybe, let's say there's no tax on this. So the calculation will be done automatically by the system, the subtotal of both of these one and this one, the 20 and 13. Then the total tax, of which is 5% on this, which is 1,000, and then the grand total. After that, you can click on create, and then it will be created. So this is like a receipt. You can consider it a receipt that you can send to the client, and then you can add any files. Maybe the receipts, maybe the air tickets, maybe the receipts that you are getting when you are using this expense. You can attach it over here just for accountability purposes. Let's say maybe this one. So you can attach as many files as you want related to this expense, and then you can then convert this expense to an invoice that you'll send to the client later to pay up. So as you can see, it's been converted to an expense, an invoice, sorry, and the balance over here is 34,000, which you can then make a payment, which the client can then make a payment, and you'll be able to record that particular payment made. So we in our previous video we talked about expenses section, so you can go back to that video if you still don't understand how the expenses section works, and it has really touched on that section. So let's go back to the expense. So this is the expense that we created just right now. As you can see, it is a billed expense, meaning that it is billed to that particular client. Let's just have a look at it again. So it has been over here. You can see it has been invoiced to that client. As you can see, you can get an expense summary in PDF form if you like. You can delete this invoice or this particular expense, or you can update it. Now there's something that so let's say maybe now it is an internal. Let's say it is now an internal expense instead of a bill expense. Internal expense means that the law firm will be covering for the costs incurred. So all we do is that travel expense, we just leave all these like this. But now maybe let's say which staff use it. Maybe let's say Guy over here was the advocate who was traveling to Mombasa. So this is the staff who was using that amount, and then we'll be billing it. The expense will be cut from the Equity Bank, or let's say our KCB Bank, and then you click on save. So over here is an expense, which is an internal expense that is billed to the firm. So let's go to the expenses section. So as you can see, it is an internal expense, meaning that the firm is billed. And as you can see over here on the categories, it has increased. And as you can see, this is what we call the category percentage, where you have a look at the percentage of the expenses, where most of the expenses is going to. So over here you can see it's all 0%. This is 29% of it. This one is 79%, 71% of it. So let's create another expense just for some example. Now let's look at the recurring expense. Now the recurring expense, it is basically an expense that happens after it happens after a certain period of time, constantly. So in our case, let's just create a simple, maybe let's say maybe an expense that happens when you're having a court case. Let's say it's a court expense. So let's set it to an internal one. So let's say maybe it's Emma who was going to court, and she spent that amount, this particular amount, from maybe the cash of the company, from the petty cash that the company had. On which date? Maybe it was on 20th. Then here is where we go to the recurring period. So after how long will it be recurring? So this expense will be happening every 1 month. So it can be 1 month, 1 day, 1 week, 1 year. So let's choose 1 month. So that means that after every 1 month, this expense will be recurring every single time after every month. And the system will be generating this expense for you automatically after every month from this date. So 30 days after this particular date, this expense will be generated automatically. So when does the expense end on? You can leave it. If you leave it blank, it will be. We are assuming that it will always be occurring for a lifetime. If it ends on a particular period, you can set it. Maybe let's say it ends in 2022 on 10th of January, so you can set it at that. Maybe let's just give it a title, then a description, and then let's say it was 10,000 with maybe zero tax, and then you can hit on save. So this particular expense is an internal expense, so there's no need to send an invoice because there's no. It will just be cut from that particular from our cash account, or from whichever account that you choose for that amount to be cut from. You can add files again, maybe receipts, maybe bank checks, bank slips, and such, just for accountability and to show that this amount was spent. So if you go back to our expenses, you can see now the quota expenses has increased by 10%, by 13%, and then the category percentage has reduced by 63% because of this one. And over here, the status is internal. So as you can see, the internal has been increasing. So 88% of the invoices are internal invoices, and 13% have not been billed, and yet they are external. And then there are 8 total expenses. So that is all to do with the expenses module. If you want to learn more, or if you want a full demo of the Sheria Space Platform, you can contact us and we will get back to you and organize a demo where we'll present to you every single module in detail.